Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how I made a quick release low profile trolling motor mount for my Bonafide SS127 Kayak. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. These are the main parts I'm going to be using in this project. These two pieces here are the Bassyaks trolling motor mounting plates for the Bonafide SS127 Kayak, and it also comes with all the mounting hardware. And this here is a 3/8 inch in diameter hitch pin that I'll be using for the quick disconnect and connect. And I will list these parts underneath the narrative. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do to this mount is remove it from the shaft of the trolling motor. And I'm going to remove this little clip here and then pound out the pin which will release this from the shaft. And you can use all kinds of things to do it, but I'm just going to use this 3/8 inch diameter bolt and then just pound it through. Okay, so I removed the mount from the shaft of the trolling motor, and this is what the pin looks like. This is the side that had the clip on it, and you want to make sure you just put that back on there so you don't lose it. And then the reason you want to remove the clip side first is because this side has a head on it, so when you pound it through, it drops right out. And then this is what it's going to look like when it's out. So the next thing to do is going to be to go ahead and cut this flush with this line right here so I can mount it on the bracket for the kayak. Okay, I have the trolling motor mount in a vise, and I've marked where I want to cut it with a piece of blue painter's tape. And I'm just going to cut it using a regular wood saw, which works good on polymers, but you can use whatever you want to do. I just wanted to show you another option you have if you don't want to use a hitch pin. What you can do is when you first have your mount here and you cut off the front section here, you're left with the two clamps. Now you can break one of the clamps out like I did here and then pop off this cup section, and you will have almost a 3/8 inch diameter pin that you can use for this project. So what I did was I went ahead and used the one I took apart, and as you can see, it goes through there and pops out on the other side, so you could actually drill a hole in there if you wanted to put a pin in there. Now if you're going to go this route, it is a little tight, so you might have to open up the holes on either side here and on the center portion of the shaft connector, but this is an option. Now that I've cut off the front clamps, you've seen how it's flat here. And then this is the mounting plate. And these are the three holes you're going to be using for this flat surface here. And then this hole is going to go through the back here. So the best way to do this is to take your plate and set it up like how you're going to have it. Like it's going to be sitting like this on the kayak. So take this, center that hole right here that's going to go through the back, if you can see it there, and then mark that hole, and then drill that hole out first, and then come back when you make sure everything's lined up correctly and drill those three holes there. And then you can attach everything back together and go ahead and mount it on the kayak. This is what the assembled pieces are going to look like, and I don't have the final bolts in there. This is just so you can get a look. As you can see, you've got it flat in here, and this is the bolt that's going to be going through where the pin usually went through for the rudder. And then of course I've just got this wing nut holding it in, but you see you've got this L-shaped plate mounted in front of the plate that's going to be mounted to the top side of the hull of the kayak. I want to give you a helpful hint when you're drilling that first hole that I mentioned here. As you can see, it lines it right in the center of this rib here. So what I did was I marked where I'm going to drill the hole first, and then I just took a chisel and cut out a little square section so I could fit the bit in there and it wouldn't jump around. And then I got my good hole. So what I've done now that I have the one hole here, I just connected it with this 1/4 20 bolt and the wing nut, holding this in tight, because what that does now is it lines everything up for me here. And then I can just go ahead and drill my other 3 holes here, now that I know where everything should be. Okay, so what I did here was I attached this plate and this plate from the Bassyaks mount system to my trolling motor mount. And what I did was I put these 2 bolts in first, which you can see down on the bottom here, and then the bolt that holds this piece on is right here. And if you look in here, what I needed to do down in here was countersink that hole so that bolt would lay flush, because this is what the bolt head looks like, just like that. So a little countersink, and that's flat to make sure you don't have any trouble with the shaft hitting any bolt sticking out. And now that I have this part done, I can go ahead and set it on the kayak itself and then bolt it in. This is a rear view of the kayak where I'm going to attach the mounting system. And you have your 4 major mounting points here. And then here you have the through bolt that's going to go all the way down, that normally has a pin for a rudder, but this is actually going to go through the upper plate and then down through that rectangular plate that I also showed you. So I'm just going to bolt everything in. Okay, so I've started the bolts in to attach the mount to the hull, but I wanted to show you a little trick I did. Depending on where you make your cut here, these washers might interfere. So what I did first was I slid the washer underneath the front part of this mount, and then I'll go ahead and put the bolts through there. I wanted to show a view of the bolt that comes all the way down from the top through the existing hole where the rudder pin would have been. And what you have here is it comes with 2 nuts, and since they don't have a Loctite function in there, you just go ahead and put the 2 of them on there together to lock it in place. Okay, so I dropped down the shaft into the mount, and then I slid through my 3/8 inch pin, and this is the handle that folds up and down to help pull it out. And here's the clip side right here. So it's all done. Okay, I'm going to give a demonstration of how quick it is to remove and replace this trolling motor on the kayak. First thing, I'm going to remove this cotter pin here. Pull out the retaining pin here. Pop this up. And it comes out. Just reverse it, put it in, set it down, line up the holes, push the retaining pin through here, and put the cotter pin back in there, and you're done. So that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comments. Thank you.